Hello and welcome to the Establish the Run NBA Injury Show for Friday, November 15th. My name is Adam Levitan. God, it has been 7 years, 6 years since I've been in the NBA streets. However, with this massive slate, Dink is needed badly on projections here today. So you get me and you get Mr. Mike Gallagher. Fun fact, those of you guys who don't know, I met Gallagher. I was working at RotoWorld on the NBA team, not the NFL team. I was working at RotoWorld on the NBA team. I love the NBA. NBA was my favorite fantasy sport to play. Gallagher came on board to help us and then ended up like taking over the whole thing. And I was like, perfect. I'm going to go to NFL. And Gallagher was all set up on the NBA side. Anyways, Gallagher, great to be back with you, buddy. How's it going?
Doing great, man. Friday, big slate, no back-to-back, so we got plenty to talk about. Shouldn't get too much injury news. Lots to talk about. A lot of names. I'm not going to give you any crap for mispronouncing Ricky Pearsall or anything like that. But and yeah, shout out to you. Your solo pod is the only probably non-NBA content that I consume. It's so good.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and like this is going to be me teeing up Gallagher kind of show. I am no longer in the NBA streets at any kind of deep level. I had so much fun and loved it so much that I was playing NBA DFS every single day from 2015 to 2018 or so. Every single day. I mean, I loved it. It was so fun. I love the grind of figuring out who was going to play and who wasn't. So glad to be here. Anyways. Let's get started here with the Toronto Raptors here. Gallagher, we have Emmanuel Quickley out for this game. Thoughts on Quickley no-go for the Raptors tonight?
Yeah, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks with a UCL sprain in his elbow. So we're going to see Davion Mitchell start and has a lot of potential assists. He's had a lot of really good passing numbers. RJ Barrett also has led this team in handling, should have a pretty big role going forward. And then the starting lineup should remain the same. Grady Dick, and I'm expecting some jokes for you on this, has been pretty busy. He's been driving, he's been penetrating, he's been doing all the good stuff to get this offense, driving closeouts, getting to the line. Get the PSM model ready for Grady Dick. But yeah, those guys will be starting again with pretty good minutes. Other than that, Ochai Agbaji continues to play really strong minutes here. If different matchup, the Pistons have been pretty solid defensively, middle of the pack. But the Raptors run a ton, and the Pistons are actually good at transition defense this year, which is a little bit new. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll see Davion Mitchell starting for a bit. And then Jakob Poeltl could play a bunch. He had some foul trouble the last game. They actually got Bruno Fernando some minutes last time. After the game, Darko, their coach, had mentioned that they gave Bruno Fernando some minutes because he played well and kind of earned it more. So we'll see if he could cut into Jonathan Mogbo a bit more. But they will need size for Jalen Durr and Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah, I'm just looking at our projections. We have Grady Dick as a negative value here at 6,300 on DraftKings. But yeah, didn't he do like a jersey swap with like some guy whose last name was Soft, and they did like Soft Dick or something like that? Or what did these perverts do?
Anthony Black.
Okay. That is so ridiculous. All right, let's go to the Heat. Jimmy Butler. By the way, if you haven't seen Starting Five, awesome show. Highly recommend that on Netflix. Jimmy Butler is featured. Jimmy Butler is going to be out for this game. Nikola Jovic is available. Haywood Highsmith is available. Tyler Herro is available as well. Thoughts on the Heat situation here tonight, Gallagher?
Yeah, so Tyler Hero is listed with something different. He was listed available with a back injury. Now he has a shoulder injury. So he's available. He's good. But keep an eye on that. He's been awesome. Hands down, the Miami's best player, even when Jimmy was healthy. One of the best on-ball players in the league, coming off a 40 ball. Should have won this game. Chris Webber-like gaff from Coach Eric Spoelstra that cost him the game here. And then, as you mentioned, Nikola Jovic, we'll talk about Jokic in a little bit, but Jovic got hit in his nose, had a septum injury, and only played 3 minutes. He is masked up. He will be playing today with a mask. He could regain the starting spot. They've been starting Kevin Love the last 2 games in what we call the Craig Bogans role. I'm sure you remember Keith Bogans, who will start and then just completely go away. And that's kind of where he's at. So expecting the same starting lineup. Haywood Highsmith continues to start for Jimmy Butler. That'll continue. And then 2 guys have been playing like so poorly. Bam Adebayo, my guy, has been horrible. He's like almost last in roll man efficiency, spot up. And just like everything else that he does has been so bad. So Bam's off to a terrible start. Terry Rozier has been a pretty good pick and roll handler in his career. He's second worst in efficiency this year. He's been absolutely horrible, and it's just been the Tyler Hero show.
I can't believe Kevin Love's still in the league. I thought this guy was on his last legs when I was like playing in like 2018. This guy is still in the league. My God, incredible.
Yeah. And then one other note too, Khalil Ware, he gets a homecoming game. There's no shower narratives, but he gets the Indiana Hoosiers homecoming game for him here. He looks to have earned the backup center spot, and I think he'll get all those non-Bam minutes today.
Just to reiterate here for Peter, hope you're doing well. Peter, Dink will be on most of these shows still. I'm here to help out on Fridays during overlap periods so Dink can do better and be more helpful on the projection side here. So no, I am not taking Dink's place. I'm just going to fill in here on some Fridays in an effort to let Dink work more on the projections on Fridays, which I think is important. Okay. Mm-hmm. Keep it moving here, Gallagher. The Pacers will be without Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard. Once again, it looks like. Thoughts on Pacers stuff here?
Yeah, maybe get an Andrew Nembhard and a Grady Dick jersey swap. Yeah, so the note here is pretty tight rotation. We see 39 minutes out of Pascal Siakam, 34 out of Turner, 40 out of Halliburton in regulation. This isn't an NBA Cup game either. This was the Wednesday game against the Magic. So obviously, Benedict Mathurin is flame-throwing. He's one of the best players in transition. He's had some pick-and-roll handling stuff. His role has gone immense. And rebounding. That's something that Rick Carlisle has stressed for him. So Ben Mathurin coming in real hot, one of the hottest players out of the gate to start the year. So they'll start. Ben Shepherd will continue to get the start again. And then Obi Toppin returned from his injury. He came in there, played full minutes. Jarris Walker and then TJ McConnell didn't benefit. We were curious to see if TJ McConnell's minutes would come up with some injuries to Andrew Nembhard, but they kind of didn't, partly because they played Halliburton so much. But also because they wanted to play some guys. They wanted to look at this rookie, Johnny Furphy, who has like an edge, who the GM poll back in the preseason, they noted he was like one of the best steals of the draft. He was injured, but they want to play this guy. So TJ McConnell's minutes are pretty tight right now. I'm sure you've had some fond memories from TJ McConnell, I'm sure. But go ahead.
I was going to say there was a time in my life where I thought that I was actually a better option for teams than TJ McConnell. When he was on the Sixers, I was like, man, I can play better than this kid, but he's been incredible and had so many good games. I used to say that about Steve Blake too, but
man, yeah. Shout out
Terps. Okay, good on Pacers.
Yep, we're good.
All right, let's go to the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid and Paul George back for this game. Andre Drummond is questionable here. Thoughts on the Sixers stuff, Gallagher?
Yeah, so we had Joel Embiid return on Tuesday, did not play on Wednesday, and then Paul George also didn't play. They both talked about that they might play. We knew they weren't going to play. I got hooked, man. I had a minus 8.5 Cavs and took the hook with the Cavs only winning by 8 for the pain. Why couldn't you foul Jared Allen in the last second? But yeah, the story beside, I'll get to the injury notes in a second, but Jared McCain, I feel pretty confident he's going to start. We saw him get his start and then go absolutely ham, 34 and 10. 20 drives in this game was just unbelievably good in a good matchup, tough matchup, I should say, against the Cavs defense. It's been very good. So expecting him to start, Paul George to start, Kelly Oubre, Caleb Martin, and then obviously Joel Embiid, who was supposed to play between 25 and 30 minutes. That was the same limit, quote unquote, that Nurse put on Paul George when he returned. Paul George did go over that limit once. So there's a chance that, quote unquote, 30 minutes is like a soft 30 and they play him like 31, 32. But in general, probably 90% of the time, he's going to be in that 25 to 30 range, unless he's got it going, et cetera. But he did look quite poor with overall conditioning, not having a big impact. Didn't touch the paint a lot. His touches were down a lot per minute. A lot of the stats that he racks up weren't really there. So we'll see how much of an impact he has. Their rim defense got a little bit better in this game with Embiid. They're dead last in rim efficiency on the season. So that's kind of where we're at. But the other note, as you mentioned, Andre Drummond was ill on Wednesday. That was a late Q tag. Didn't play in this one. Has a Q tag again. Could see him missing. Could see him getting cut down. Maybe he's like, hey, you're ill. Wait till you're 100%. We've got Gerson Yabusele anyways playing behind Embiid there. So, yeah, Embiid could be like a fake active. We've seen it a couple times this year. Guys are like available but still don't play because they're coming up with illness.
What do you think's wrong with the Sixers? Just they've been banged up and that's why they suck?
Yeah, they have no. I mean, they just have no depth. Just lack of
Yeah.
shot creation from Tyrese Max. Like once they lost Maxey, and like yeah, their schedule's been like but yeah, they're playing poorly, and their offense has no juice right now. And as I
Uh,
mentioned, they're getting killed at the rim.
by the way, I saw people trying to make a story out of that. FanDuel offered a bet. Will the Cavs go undefeated this
Yep.
year? Don't bet that, guys. Come on. Let's not,
Jeez. Yeah.
you know,
It's
it's
not. It's
really,
like yeah. It's only like what? I think it's like plus 100,000.
yeah,
That
it's
should be like
ridiculous.
plus like 2 billion. You know,
Of
what are the
course. And
odds?
they actually have the markets up. All the sites have markets up for will the Chiefs go undefeated, which is obviously much more interesting. I do not think the Chiefs
Yeah.
are going to go undefeated, but that one is much more interesting, at least.
What's
But
that lined
yeah,
at?
I don't know. I didn't look at it this week. It was, you still have to lay a pretty big number on the no as of last week. I mean, the Bills are favored on Sunday, but anyways, I
Ooh,
digress.
okay.
Okay. Let's keep it moving here. Let's go to the Orlando Magic. Wendell Carter is still out. Paolo Banchero, I hope I said that right, is
Got it.
still out. Gallagher, what do you think about Magic tonight?
Yeah, pretty tight spread. They've been playing great, and they're playing great at home too. So I thought about taking the Magic here against the Sixers, who weren't very impressive with Embiid and Paul George back. But I can't lose money to the Sixers again after the Cavs L. The headlines here, there's a few of them. It's to me the minutes. We've seen Franz Wagner play so many minutes. 37 here. He played 39 in their other competitive games since Paolo Banchero went down. As you mentioned, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. That was back about a week and a half or almost 2 weeks ago. So he's about halfway back. We're expecting him to be back around December 1st. So it's the Franz and Jalen Suggs show. If those guys avoid fouls or injury or if this game's close in an NBA Cup game, they could play 40. So again, this Sixers defense has been really bad around the basket. Franz Wagner loves transition and bad rim defenses. That kind of what gets him going. His potential assists are way up. So Franz is off to a really, really strong start. Last game, they did set out Gary Harris. That was just because of a back-to-back, so he'll be back in the rotation as well. And then Jonathan Isaac played pretty well. He's earned some more minutes. And Goga Batadze, shout out to Goga. You'll appreciate this. He used to be an ex-Pacer, and Rick Carlisle and him didn't get along. And he said after the game that he prayed at night to like beat the Pacers. So shout out to Goga. He will get the toughest assignment in the NBA now, guarding Joel Embiid. Even though Embiid's not 100%, the foul risk on Goga is quite high.
Yeah, I'm interested. So NBA Cup is the in-season tournament, correct?
Yep.
So so historically, coaches have inflated minutes on star players to try in an effort to actually win this. So they actually care.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah.
Yep. A little bit later. The Magic pulled guys pretty early. This isn't their NBA Cup game on screen. They played back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
But they were up huge on Tuesday, and they still pulled guys out. We had a Franz over that we were trying to hit that just missed it. We needed like another minute and a half for him to get one more dime, but didn't happen. But yeah, we talked about this on Tuesday. Early on in the NBA Cup, there are a couple, as it's usually a little bit of a later plug pull on a blowout. But on the back end of the NBA Cup, we see 40, 41,
Right.
42 in those really high stakes games.
That's really cool. I thought when I first heard about it, I was like, nobody's going to care about this, but they've incentivized them in a way. I know they get like $500,000 if they win it, and so I guess they've incentivized them in a way to make it actually like something they care about and extend minutes on. Like that's pretty cool that it ended up working out. Okay.
Yep.
Let's go to the Nets. Oh my God, Ben Simmons, man. I mean, this guy. When I was living in Philly, this was like the hatest man in all of Philadelphia. And that's saying a lot. I mean, he was the most hated man in Philadelphia. I know he's on the Nets now. Off the injury report, Nick Claxton is out for this game.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. DFS himself, Dorian Finney-Smith, is available. Nets thoughts here, Gallagher.
Yeah, Ben Simmons still earning that $40 million. He is expected to start now with Nick Claxton out. I'll talk about him in a second. Ben Simmons said that when he first got benched, they were still going to keep him regardless of his role, starter or bench. He will be in that 25, 26-minute range. That's where our minutes are. But him entering the starting lineup is going to hurt the other guards. Dennis Schroeder is fourth in the NBA in touch time. He might not have that elite ball handling role in a matchup that's really good. The Knicks allow the most pick and roll handler possessions frequency in the NBA. So it would have been a great spot, but losing a little handling to Ben does hurt his upside a little bit. Same thing to a lesser degree, Cam Thomas, who's not a big passer, but he still should have pretty high shot volume there overall. So yeah, expecting him to start. Dorian Finney-Smith, again, will be back, so that'll be bumping Zaire Williams, who's played really well, coming off a 23-point game, has been great for them. But he'll be off the bench again as Dorian Finney-Smith, who missed the last 2 games for an ankle injury, should be back. We don't have any limits on him other than the minutes being a little bit tighter because we think Zaire may have earned more. And then Nick Claxton, back injury, he'll be out at least a week. So that's tough. So that'll get Noah Clowney pretty secure in the minutes. We'll see what they do with the other guys. Jalen Wilson will still be secure for minutes. Shake Milton's still safe. And then Keon Johnson. And then they also brought Tyrese Martin, who we think's going away now that Dorian Finney-Smith is back. And should also note, if you haven't noticed here, Ben Simmons did sit this game out on the screen. That was because of a back-to-back. So it wasn't because of a back-to-back. Excuse me. He had a calf issue that popped up out of nowhere. And they gave him an MRI. It was all good. But there was some concern because he had calf strains in 2022, 2021. But yeah, he's good to go. I was surprised. Didn't even get tagged.
They used to offer a bet. Will Ben Simmons make a 3 tonight? And, because it was like such a funny thing. Like he's a guard, allegedly a point guard who literally like couldn't make a 3 at all. And I'm looking at his game log here. He hasn't even attempted one in like years. I mean, what a broken situation that was, man. All right. Let's go to the Knicks. Jalen Brunson is probable for this game. Miles McBride is questionable. Campaign probable. Karl Anthony Towns is questionable. Long report here. Gallagher, what do you think about Knicks?
Yeah, so let's start with Karl Anthony Towns, that Q-tag. So we saw him late in this game take knee-to-knee contact, was shaking it off, was limping down the court for a few possessions, but still got it going. Obviously, he was really, really good, scoring 46 in the last game. I'm pretty sure he's going to play. It was just, as I mentioned, just knee-to-knee contact. It's not structural, didn't sprain it, anything like that. So he should be good. Never know. Maybe there's swelling. We'll see. But I expect him to play. Jalen Brunson, same tag he had last time. 2 games ago, he rolled his ankle. Looked pretty bad against the Sixers. Came out, was fine, played 34 minutes. Has been struggling a bit. Not shooting efficiently on drives lately. And then Deuce McBride's interesting. So 3 games ago, he got a Q tag for illness. Then he gets a Q tag for a knee. And then now he gets another Q tag as an illness. So what's going on here? Don't have a great read on that situation. Always tough to read illness tags. If he didn't play, I would expect him to play that would really up Campaign's minutes, who may not play too much coming off the hamstring. And then Matt Ryan, the Lyft/Uber driver, will be picking up some extra playing time as well, as Tibbs would run this rotation a little bit deep. But again, if Deuce did miss, I mean, you would see like probably 4 40-minute games in an NBA Cup game from Hart, Brunson, Cat, and Mikal Bridges. They could all play really, really heavy minutes here.
Tibbs doing Tibbs things still, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bulls. Some guy I've never heard of in my entire life. Adama Sanogo is probable. And Lonzo Ball is out.
Yep. Adama Sanogo, very good job on the last name. He is, it doesn't matter. Jalen Smith's back, so he's not listed. Jalen Smith isn't listed, so he should be good to go. Other than that, tough matchup here. I think they're about 10-point dogs in Cleveland, so expecting pretty much the same here. Lonzo, they were hoping he would play this weekend, but still having some issues dribbling from what Billy Donovan was saying. So it sounds like Lonzo's going to miss, call it at least 3-4 more games there. So that'll keep Dalen Terry in the rotation, Julian Phillips, and I would assume his role a little bit stronger here. And then, as we've been saying, Zach LaVine's minutes are 100% fine. Coming out that adductor strain that cost him a little bit of time, he's back playing full. And got to shout out Patrick Williams. He's been playing really, really well. This matchup's going to be tough. Assuming Evan Mobley can play, we'll get to that there. I forgot if I updated this, but Evan Mobley got downgraded to questionable. I forgot if I updated your note there. But yeah, other than that, pretty stable here. The starters are playing pretty good minutes here, except for Josh Giddey, whose minutes have been a little bit vulnerable. Has played a little bit better lately, though.
I do have that next one in my notes there. I just want to give a shout out to Dink's dad here, the Papa Cub, my personal tennis consultant, professional tennis coach. Anytime I play a bet, I talk to Dink's dad about strategy. So appreciate the support. Checking out all these YouTube streams here, Mr. Dinkmeyer. All right. Cavs. As Gallagher just mentioned, Evan Mobley is questionable. Jarrett Allen is probable. Sam Merrill is out. Go ahead on Cavs stuff, Gallagher.
Yeah, not too much to say. We got Mobley a late Q tag last game, and they never was much doubt that he was going to play. As you mentioned, he was probable earlier in the day, downgraded to questionable. Usually scary for a guy off an illness tag. So yeah, we'll see. If he didn't start, I would expect Dean Wade to move into the starting lineup. Jared Allen's minutes would be very secure. And then they would probably have to play a little bit of Tristan Thompson behind him. But in general, they really like George Niang. They ran some really big, important minutes a few games ago with George Niang as a 5-man, so that would still be on the table. But we would project Tristan Thompson in a little bit in that instance. But yeah, illness tags, tough to read overall. Shout out to the Cavs, 13-0. And I think they'll go 14-0 even if Mobley doesn't play.
That's pretty incredible. Were they like expected to be one of the best teams in the league coming in, or is this like out of nowhere?
Most people had them, 5-6. I had them.
Wow.
I had them third when we did the rankings. Shout out to me, as you would say. But
Yes.
yeah. But yeah,
Interesting.
they're
Yeah.
they're obviously 13 and no one expected that. But they
Yeah.
should have been good. Yeah, they're a good team.
Okay. Lakers. The Brow, Anthony Davis is probable. Rui Hachimura is questionable. Jackson Hayes is out here for the Lake Show. What do you think about this spot, Gallagher?
Yeah, it should be 80 is good to go. We saw him have this injury last week he's listed with the foot. Unaffected, minutes have been pretty strong, still hanging in the 30s. His touches are down just a teeny bit from where he was earlier this year. I don't think there's anything to that. Maybe it was matchup, whatever the case may be. But yeah, he's good to go. He's not going to wear glasses after getting scratched in the eye a couple games ago, so he's fine. And then LeBron James, 3 straight triple doubles. At his age, he's going to be freaking 40 in like a month and a half, which is totally insane for us 40-year-olds out here going nuts. The role's been insane. 14 assists the last game, 20.3 potential assists in his last 3 games. Well, I mentioned the last 3 games. That's since they made the move with D'Angelo Russell moving to the bench, which will continue. As you mentioned, Rui Hachimura questionable with an ankle injury. Didn't find much there, so it's probably minor. I think he'll play. He's had some ankle stuff in the past, but what NBA player hasn't? So, yeah, I think he'd be in. If he didn't play, it would be Dalton Connect moving into the starting lineup. Dalton coming off a flame-throwing 19-point games, goes 5 of 5 from 3 against the team that gives up the most catch-and-shoot points in the NBA. I am so mad I didn't bet that. Yeah, shooters against the Grizzlies, guys. If you want to play 3-point overs, there's a certain player we'll talk about a little bit, but yeah, these guys should be good. We'll see about Rui though.
Yeah, that dude can really shoot it. I saw that like highlight reel when he scored 20 points in the fourth quarter of a preseason game or something like that. That dude can really shoot it. Just confirmation here, Gallagher. Shout out to John Warner from our friends at the Badge Bros. I believe this is an NBA Cup game, correct? The Orlando game. I think you may have just
No, they all are. Every game is today. Yep.
Okay, every game is
every game Tuesday. So for the next, I think 4 weeks, every Tuesday and Friday are NBA Cup nights.
Yep.
Until it wraps up, but I think it's like 4 weeks from now.
All right. Go to the San Antonio Spurs. Trey Jones is still out. Anything else to note on the Spurs here for you, Gallagher?
Yeah, just to note that Trey Jones, he was supposed to miss 2 weeks back on October 30th, I believe. So he's past his timetable. So we'll see. Maybe we get a little bit more detail there. But obviously, the headline from that game, as I am struggling to pull the box score up, was Victor Wembanyama scoring 50 points in he came back in late. He hit his 50th point in his 26th minute. It's the fastest someone's ever got to 50 points in NBA history. And how he did it was quite remarkable. As you see on the screen, 16 3-point attempts. The guy's like 7'5", and he only had 4 paint touches in this game. It is crazy that a guy with his size scores 50 without like any paint presence. So shout out to Wemby. Shout out to me. I matchups cover boy. Dink flag planted him, so we were all over the Wemby love. So shout out to us. Other than that, Devin Vassell expected to keep his bench role. He played 25 minutes last game. Handling role still been pretty iffy, not driving a bunch. Still getting familiarized with his teammates, which he's talked about in pressers. So it'll still be Stephen Castle and Julian Champagnie starting. When Vassell can eventually start, he will be taking the place of Julian Champagnie. I expect Stephen Castle to maintain his role as the lead ball handler on defense. And then when Jeremy Sohan, who's still out for call it 3 more weeks, then we're talking about Castle probably losing his job.
All right. I don't have any notes here on the Wizards, Gallagher. Anything you want to note about the Washington side?
Yeah, we could just talk about the rotations, and Kyle Kuzma's minutes have been light the last 2 games. Returned 2 games ago, and he was capped at 24, 25, 24, 25 again in the last game. So you would think his minutes come up a little bit more here. So I think we landed at 28 minutes, expecting a little bit of growth on that limit. And then the other note here is, I mean, this team is playing tight, basically straight 8-man in this rotation. That's led to Bilal Coulibaly playing a ton. Jordan Poole's been playing a pretty good bit. I mentioned Jordan Poole had a bunch of bad matchups coming into this game against the Spurs, and he had a soft one coming here. Goes for 42, so expect him to be, going off. Matchups really, really good against the Hawks, which we'll talk about in a second and talk about why. And then Corey Kispert's going to play a ton. The Hawks are allowing the highest 3-point frequency and I think third highest catch and shoot rate in the NBA. That is Corey Kispert's music, so expecting him to play a lot off the bench. Should also note, the spread has jumped up. It was 5.5 yesterday, which I got. Shout out to Austin. He pointed it out. I was like, oh yeah, let's get it. So shout out to Austin for pointing that out. So really high paced game too. Both these two teams are top 4 in offensive pace. So one of the highest projected scoring games on the slate.
The Atlanta Hawks have Trae Young and DeAndre Hunter off of the injury report. Go ahead on the Hawks.
Yeah, so Trae Young missed the last game for Achilles tendonitis, went through practice, was fine, not even listed. I thought he'd get a Q or a P. So he's pretty much good to go. We docked his minutes just a teeny bit because he was playing close to 40 quite frequently. So, a huge role. Went for 35 and 15 the last 2 times these 2 teams faced off. So he'll have major upside. DeAndre Hunter, this is tricky. So initially had a knee injury, missed some time. And then last week on Wednesday, got a Q tag, didn't play. And then Friday, they listed him out on the front end of a back-to-back. Found out later didn't even travel. So I was like, okay, Saturday back-to-back, he'll probably play. They were resting him for the back-to-back, yada, yada. Gets ruled out for personal reasons. Had a baby and has been out. So his knee maybe has been healthy for like 8 days. Still expecting a limit. Still expecting him to come off the bench behind Zachary Ricochet overall. But that could squeeze some minutes. We saw Larry Nance play a lot of 4. And the Hawks, most stunning win of the season. They beat Boston in Boston. They were 14. I think it got up to 16.5 on the spread because they rebounded the hell out of the ball. 19 offensive rebounds, turned Boston over. Larry Nance closed over Ricochet. Nance has earned minutes, so we'll see. They could play a little bit bigger overall, but Hunter will be back, and then Trae Young, my matchups cover boy today, expecting a big line from him.
All right, let's go. I don't know if you know this, Gallagher. I've been a lifelong Nuggets fan since about 18 months ago. And so I was very disappointed to hear that Nikola Jokic, because I live and die with the Nuggets. I mean, if they lose a game, I kick my dog. I'm just so upset. Full-blown laundry, bro. Nikola Jokic, something about a baby, personal, I think, tonight. Yep. He's out. Yep. AG, Aaron Gordon, is also out. And then some guy I've never heard of, Vlatko Kankar, is also out. They're playing at New Orleans tonight.
Yeah, tough one, man. I got lucky here. I'll tell you guys. I was very close to hammering Denver minus 8.5 when I was writing up matchups, and what a mismatch this was. Denver has been first in offense in their last 7 games by a ton. They've had 125 points per 100 possessions. It's absolutely cooking offensively. But yeah, this is the toughest question of the day: is who starts for Jokic here. There are a lot of candidates. I think there's 2 lead candidates: Dario Saric and Zeke Naji would be the favorites for me. I'm more in the Saric camp, who's been out of the rotation. Zeke Naji kind of got back in there, so maybe it's Zeke. They want to give Zeke a chance, but I think Dario, his connectiveness to offense makes a little bit more sense to me. But I think it's one of those 2. It could be DeAndre Jordan. It could be small. The Pelicans don't have a lot of size. We saw them play small last game quite a bit. I'll talk about that in a second. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get crazy and start Julian Strawther, or even start Westbrook, who rebounds the ball pretty well, and you just have Peyton Watson as a center rim protector, really great shot blocker. As you know, lifelong Nuggets fan, they call him Peyton Swatson. That's kind of where we're at. But yeah, I have no conviction on who starts for this team. Obviously, the usage could be really, really strong for Michael Porter Jr. Jamal Murray could be really busy. And then Christian Brown should get more opportunities to score, as with Russell Westbrook. And Julian Strawther, they may be hey, Strawther, who can get his own shot. He may be a really big part of the rotation.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find. Yeah, I mean, we have Jamal Murray as one of the best plays on the slate on DraftKings right now. Michael Porter also and Peyton Watson. Honestly, 3 of the best plays on the entire slate right now if you adjust for DraftKings salary here. All right. Pelicans. Jose Alvarado is out. CJ McCollum is out. DeJounte Murray is out. Zion Williamson is out. My God, Gallagher, do they have anyone left? How about the Pelicans tonight?
Yeah, they're in bad. As I mentioned, I wanted to hammer this 8.5, and now it's 2.5, and I might still hit it again because this team's pretty bad. So as I mentioned on the show, I thought they might play defense first. Shout to me again. I said they might start Javonte Green and play a no point guard lineup because Brandon Boston led the team in touch time over the weekend. That's what happened. Brandon Boston was quote unquote point guard. Brandon Ingram didn't get a lot of touches again. And what they did interestingly with the rotation, they played somewhat big. Yves Missy's minutes were really strong. 26 minutes against the Thunder. Played pretty well. Was hanging in early, but OKC just dusted him in the second half. So Missy's minutes are quite secure. Over the weekend, Willie Green said they are trying to get Yves Missy to the mid-20s consistently to kind of be their starting center night in, night out. He has completely iced Tice. Daniel Tice out of the rotation right now. Expect that to continue. They're rolling with Trey Jemison. So we'll see how small this gets. As I mentioned, there could be a lot of like no center stuff in this game. Other than that, Jalen Noel come off the bench, still play mid-20s minutes. And then Trey Murphy should add back, had some foul trouble early in this game, so he could have been closer to 30 coming off his hamstring injury last week, debuted on Monday, So second game, 26. We got him at 30 today, so he could be over that. He's been trending in the right direction really all along. Pulled his hamstring early October. So he's had a good 6 weeks to recover from this. He could be back to full.
Let's go to the Los Angeles Clippers. I don't think there's any injury notes here on the Clippers, Gallagher, but there was a lineup change that you should address here. Thoughts on the Clippers?
Yeah, shout out to Dink. Dink called this one that they were going to possibly flip Chris Dunn and not Kevin Porter Jr., Terrence Mann, and that's exactly what happened. Mann played great. He was really effective off the bench, scored 14 points with 7 boards. So, yeah, that'll happen again. Tyler basically said he's going to roll with it again. So Chris Dunn will be your starting shooting guard, and they'll bump Norman Powell over to the 3. Norman Powell, as I mentioned, ran into the toughest matchup possible. But the Rockets take away catch and shoot better than anybody in the NBA. Norman Powell gets his 20-point streak snapped. Don't like him there. James Harden on a narrative alert here. Still in Houston, these two teams are playing again in the baseball series. James Harden needs 4 threes to pass Ray Allen for second all time in Houston. So a little bit of a narrative street if you wanted to play James Harden over 4 threes for something fun. Derek Jones Jr. did get hurt in this game, was able to return, and luckily for us, barely hit our over. Thanks to 2 of 2 from 3. We got really lucky there. And then should also note Zubats. Thought he'd be an okay matchup against Şengün, but the Rockets were really good. Zubats averages 14 paint touches per game. They held him to 6. So they really limited his touches. Did a very good job there. Really nice win for the Rockets.
I get that this game's in Houston, and I get that makes sense. But are we really celebrating? Are we really going for, he's going to be second? If he was going to be first, oh my God, let's stop the game and give James Harden an award. He's now second on the all-time list behind Steph Curry. It's not like he's going to be first, but I get it because it's in Houston.
It's in Houston. The nightclub scene could be popping off. He could get like 2 lap dances to celebrate these in second. Like, it could go down like that.
All right. Speaking of Houston, the Rockets have Steven Adams questionable. Cam Whitmore is still in the G League here. Thoughts on Rockets?
Yeah, so this was a great game from 2 people. The bench duo. The separation factor, as Ime Udoka had mentioned, 34 minutes from Amen Thompson. Subs in midway through the first, doesn't sub out. Subs in midway through the third, almost doesn't sub out. Had like a minute blow to catch his breath. And then after the game, Udoka mentioned like, oh yeah, I kind of like bringing him in and not taking him out. I heard that. I ran to the book and I jammed as hard as I could. Amen Thompson, 6th man of the year, 65-1. I think that's still good. It's hanging around some books. Like FanDuel has it 50-1. I would hit that. He doesn't have like the ideal role. It's not a big score. But if the Rockets are good and he could play 30 minutes a game and rebound like 6-7 times, that's a pretty good formula for 6th man of the year and a market I like to attack. So that was a bet I really, really liked there. Tari Easton's playing so well too. He wasn't lined at Caesars. He's got some lines out there too that I think are worth taking as well. Fred VanVleet did return from injury. It was a hamstring tightness thing. He was back to full. As I mentioned on the show, it was likely just a back-to-back thing on Monday. So he's good to go. And then the other note too, why I bet this, they said they didn't want to start Tari or Amen because they wanted to just have them off the bench and just boost them, which is another reason, like, because we talked about Jabari Smith losing his job to one of those guys, but they're going to keep it. But Jabari's minutes are really bad. He's just unplayable in DFS right now.
You were saying Amen Thompson for 6th man of the year or Tari?
Amen. I got him 65-1, but Tari's good too. I think Amen's got a little bit higher juice, and I have concerns about Tari staying healthy. And I just think Amen's minute ceiling is way higher. So I like that bet a little bit more.
Yeah, I see 50-1 on FanDuel, 40-1 on DraftKings on Amen. Let me just check Tari here. I spelled this guy's name wrong. What'd you get Tari at?
I didn't. He was 50-1. I couldn't get anything down at FanDuel. I got like $10 or something.
Yeah, it looks like 60-1 on FanDuel.
I'd take that. Yeah, I'd take that
on Tari. All right, keep it moving here to the Phoenix Suns, Gallagher's hometown Suns. Grayson Allen is questionable. Yusuf Nurkic is questionable. Bradley Beal is out, and of course Kevin Durant remains out as well. Thoughts on Suns?
Yeah, let's talk Beal first. He said this is the back-to-back game on the screen. He had mentioned that the game before when he got hurt that he'll be fine and he'll be managed. He expects to play. He did not. I didn't think he was going to play. But it's worth noting on Wednesday he was listed with a calf contusion. Now he's listed with a calf strain. That's a concern. So I expect Beal, who's been very injury prone, to miss multiple games here on top of this one. Don't chance it with a calf strain. Kevin Durant has I know all these guys have calf strains. We talked about how soft tissue injuries, hamstrings, quads, calves could be major detriments and are so likely to be aggravated. So expecting Beal to be sidelined. Grayson Allen, again, soft tissue. It could expect him to be back and managed, but they're being careful with his minutes. He was on a minutes limit earlier this year. So if he's back, he'll be coming into play. He might not play that much because, I mean, my God, Giannis scoring 59, Wemby scoring 50. The biggest surprise of the day may have been Josh Okogie scoring 25. I did not see that coming at all. So he may have earned some more minutes, but still, I think even if Grayson plays, they'll still start regardless. Devin Booker, Tyus Jones, Ryan Dunn, Royce O'Neal, and then Nurkic if he can play. Nurk is playing through some ankle soreness. Has cost him a game. Surprised he got the Q. I thought he may get a P, but he's not 100% from this ankle thing. So if he didn't play, that would be putting Mason Plumlee in the first unit. Also up Oso Iguodala's minutes additionally there. And should also note Ty Washington with the team played pretty well. Got talked up by Mike Budenholzer. So if they're shorthanded and are missing Grayson, it will be more Okogie, more Ty Washington, and then a little bit more Monte. I think Ty Washington's kind of past Damian Lee at this point.
All right, let's go to the Thunder. Alex Caruso, not the
Lock,
whatever dude on Twitter is the actual Alex Caruso, the competent Alex Caruso on the Thunder is out tonight. Any more thoughts on the Thunder?
Yeah, not much. As we expected, if you think you know who OKC is going to start, you do not. They will keep you on your toes. We saw last game they flipped Cason Wallace in and then moved Aaron Wiggins out. It's going to probably be two of Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace, and Aaron Wiggins. As mentioned on the show, I expected Kenrich Williams' minutes to come back up. They did from 6 to 14. That should continue going forward as he just returned from injury 2 games ago. But yeah, tough matchup for SGA. He's going to get Ryan Dunn, pretty good defender, but SGA is playing great. J-Dub will continue to play center. Roll's still pretty good. Drove pretty aggressively. So yeah, those guys are in a pretty good spot. Expect them to handle business against the Suns.
Yeah. Serdar is asking about Karl-Anthony Towns. We already covered the Knicks here, but you can always go back and find that there. But yeah, any final thoughts on Cat here? You think he plays tonight?
Yeah. Yep. Just knee contact, as I mentioned earlier. So he played through it at first. Just being careful with the Q tag. Could have swelled up on him, but again, it's not structural. It's just he had knee. So usually it's something guys, assuming there's no swelling, he should be good.
Okay, let's go to the Grizzlies. Vince Williams is questionable. Desmond Bane is questionable. Brandon Clark is questionable as well. Thoughts on these guys, Gallagher?
Yeah, the big surprise was Desmond Bane getting a Q tag. So the Grizzlies, they have a very standard protocol of how they get guys back in play. They will usually 2 games away when they want to play him. The game before, they will give him a doubtful tag. That's a hey, wink, wink. Next game, he's going to be questionable, have a chance to play. They didn't do that with Bane. They went straight to Q. So that made us perk up here. I don't know. It's an oblique injury. His timeline's pretty early from where they had it. So I don't know. He might be back. He's going to probably be game time, but very little to go on. However, I feel very strongly Vince Williams will be back. Vince Williams, as I mentioned, got the doubtful tag. That's a wink, wink, questionable tag, and back. So Vince Williams trending to be back. Upper tibia injury should be back to limited. He's right where he should be timeline wise. He has been doing kind of rehab assignments for like a week to 10 days. So he should be back. We only have him at 17 minutes for a guy that we thought might start over Marcus Smart, who did return. Marcus Smart returned from injury and came up the bench. As I mentioned, that was possible as well. So a lot to go over here. On the one hand, if Bane returns, does he start? I would say yes. And I would say he starts over Jalen Wells, who's been playing very well on the wing. If Vince Williams plays, his injury is a little bit more severe, given that it was a bone / stress reaction kind of a thing. He has more limits to me than Desmond Bane will. So he could start. Vince could start over Santi Aldama, who's been playing pretty well for them there. But then another question here. Brandon Clark, who was called game time last time, which is a good indication he'll be back this time. So he could be back. And out of nowhere, they started Jay Huff in this game, partly because of floor spacing against Anthony Davis. So there's a whole lot going on here. So, and then on top of that, you're getting the Golden State Warriors, who play really fast, space the floor. If all these guys play, like Zach Edey could be really down in minutes. He could play. I could see him play like 12. So this is a lot. I'm throwing a lot at you guys here. So we think that like all these guys coming in, right? So who's coming out? Wells minutes are going down. Conchar, we think is going away completely. Drake Larabia's minutes are coming down, possibly out there. Santi Aldama's minute ceiling comes down. I think Scottie Pippen's pretty safe. His minutes ceiling comes down for sure, but I still think he's going to play upper 20s at least, and then maybe hit 30 if he's got it going because he's played that well. So just to sum it all up, the 10 guys who are firmly in the rotation are Jaren Jackson, Santi Aldama, Jalen Wells, Scottie Pippen, Jake LaRavia, and I take that back. Marcus Smart, Desmond Bane if he could play, Vince Williams, Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, and then somebody else. I don't know. I think that's everybody. But yeah, there's a whole lot going on here.
Scottie Pippen Jr.'s dad has gone full crypto shill on Twitter.
That.
I don't know if it's sad, man. For the guys that are old enough to remember, I mean, Scottie Pippen was an awesome NBA player on the Jordan teams, obviously, and like to see him now like shilling shit coins, it actually makes me sad. All right.
What about Bitcoin? Bitcoin's crushing.
Yeah, he's been shilling like not Bitcoin stuff. Anyways.
Oh, is he?
Warriors, as you mentioned here in this game, D'Anthony Melton is out and Kyle Anderson is probable. Thoughts on Warriors stuff?
Yeah, so D'Anthony Melton, he has an MCL sprain, so he is going to be out for what Buddy Hield said a couple weeks. So this isn't like a severe grade 3 ruptured MCL kind of a thing, something that generally is a 2 to 4 week thing for what sounds like a grade 2 MCL sprain. So he was going to start going forward according to Steve Kerr. So that's obviously off the table, which that leads you to believe or ask, I should say, who starts. Our whole minutes team is pretty united on this. We all think it's going to be Gary Payton 2 starting. You get the on-ball defensive role in there to fill and start. But there will still be more minutes to be going to Buddy Hield, more minutes to Moses Moody. Brandon Podziemski's minutes should get back over 20 here. He's been really, really cut down, which made a ton of sense. There's just so many guys. So the rotation could get tighter, or they could bring in Lindy Waters for some minutes here. Overall, should mention Kyle Anderson didn't play in this last game. He was a late scratch. That again came out of nowhere. It came like I want to say 10 minutes before lock. We were able to switch projections just in time there. But yeah, he'll be back. Probable minutes should be this game could play pretty big or pretty small overall. And then as I mentioned with the connect thing, Memphis gives up a ton of catch and shoot stuff. Buddy Hield is 3rd in the NBA in catch and shoot points, despite being like not even like 50th in minutes or whatever he is. So Buddy Hield could be getting some buckets in this spot.
All right. The Minnesota Timberwolves, Mike Conley. My God, how old is Mike Conley now? Mike Conley is off the injury report for the Wolves. Any more thoughts on that spot?
Yeah, he'll be back. Minutes have been pretty gross. Wolves coming off 2 horrendous losses here, but they get a Kings team that's playing pretty good defense overall. We'll talk about them in a second. So Mike Conley will be back. I had the wrong box score up. My bad. This is 2 games ago. So he'll be back, and I don't know if he starts. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, as Dink and I talked about on the pod, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is like first in like every advanced net rating kind of stat there is. Every 2-man combo among their top 28 lineups all has Nickeil Alexander-Walker in them. So there's a case to be made that Nickeil Alexander-Walker just starts over Mike Conley at this point. I would say it's unlikely, but something to consider. So the question is, do they go 8 again? Meaning, Conley, Anthony Edwards, Gobert, Jaden, Julius Randle, Nickeil, Naz Reid, and then Dante DiVincenzo, or do they add someone? Do they add Rob Dillingham? Do they add Josh Minot? They've been running 8. I lean 8. I think they're just going to run 8 again here, as they should really bounce back. 2 really bad losses. It's an NBA Cup game. They're already 0-1 in the NBA Cup. They played on Tuesday and Wednesday, so they've got a 14-point differential from this is the game on the screen. Is the Wednesday game. They got housed both games. So I expect Ant to come out firing. Scored 32 points against the Kings earlier this year.
All right. God, I love the Ant-Man. My kids love Ant-Man. I saw Ant-Man play a bunch when they played the playoff series against the Nuggets last year. He is incredible to watch. And on that starting 5 documentary, if anybody watched it, you got to watch it. He is the man.
Nice.
All right. Kings. Last one here, I believe, Gallagher, is the Sacramento Kings. DeMar DeRozan is doubtful, and Malik Monk is out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back injury for DeMar DeRozan happened in the first half, and we saw in the second half they started Keon Ellis as they went a little bit smaller, which easy to do that against the Suns. The Suns were starting pretty small in this game, so do they do that again? I think they do, but you can't have it both ways. You would normally put Keegan Murray on Anthony Edwards. That's what they did the last game. I think they do that again. So you're asking either Kevin Huerter to guard Julius Randle, or you're asking Keon Ellis to guard Ant. Both are bad choices to me. So keep an eye on that. Like, we're pretty strong. It's going to be Keon Ellis starting, but don't be surprised if they get a wrench thrown in there and they start someone like Trey Lyles or something like that, just to take a little pressure off their defense there. Or they could do something like Kevin Huerter guarding Gobert or something like that, and then putting Sabonis on Randle. Sabonis has been better defensively than a lot of people give him credit for. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. Again, I'm sure the market and everyone's expecting Keon Ellis to start, as they should, but I wouldn't be totally shocked if we get like a surprise and they start a little bit bigger just to cover Randle and Ant, because Keegan's been very good on ball defensively. Was really good in this game on Booker. So just something to keep an eye on if they do kind of play the matchup game.
All right. I believe we've covered all the teams here today. Just want to reiterate for anybody looking for Dink's takes on all this stuff that is in the projections. Dink is currently in the sheets on the projections. So if you want Dink's take on this stuff, flow through to the projections. Of course, there are monthly, weekly options available for our in-season package DFS show tonight for in-season subscribers, 5 p.m. Eastern, of course. And if you're interested in the prop stuff, the prop street, please read the FAQ first, but you can check that out as well. All right. Yeah. I should have taken it to my grave, Braden, but I do it for the people.
I was like, man, what are you doing? But shout out to you, man.
I do it for the people, man.
Too good.
All right. Also, tonight, if you're interested in the NFL, DFS, myself, Silva, and Wiggins established the show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern on the NFL side. All right. This was fun. So glad to be back. I'll be in and out here on Fridays, maybe some Thursdays going forward, hanging out with Gallagher. Be sure you're subscribed here so you know when we go live each and every day. Anything else you want to say here, Gallagher, before we get out of here?
No, I'm good to go. I'll close this out. We'll be back. Dink and I will be on later today to talk DFS. It'll be really fun. A lot of injuries to talk through. I'm excited. This is a good slate to play. I think there's some edge. We've been running pretty strong. The flag pants have been a little iffy, but calling out a lot of good matchup stuff. Matchups is up. I went ham on matchups yesterday. Only one game yesterday, so check out matchups. It's loaded. Drop some nuggets on this show. So I'll jam us out of here. So appreciate you guys. Levitan, you killed it as always. We'll catch you guys next time.